And I'm going to start the recording. Perfect. Hi, everybody. I'm Linda Brubaker, and this is Career Search Lunch and Learn. We are a career seeker transition group, a support group, a networking group. We're here to provide you with tips and tricks and support to help you move from here to that next forever job or that next forever career. Now, we know that you really don't want to be here. We're happy to have you here to support you. And the idea is that we want to be able to support one another. And one of the things that I love about this group is the willingness of people to share ideas, questions, concern, and support. While we're doing this, I want to remind you all, please, to put your information in the chat so that we can connect with you. We want to be able to support you in every way that we can. So make sure that it's an active link to your LinkedIn URL. In addition, I want you to put a couple of little short pieces of information about the kinds of things you're looking for so that we know how to best support you as we move forward. A couple of ground rules. That is, please remain muted until you've been called on to talk. When you have something you would like to say, please raise your digital hand so that we can find you, okay, and bring you up on screen if you're willing. In addition, in the chat itself, if you have questions as we move forward, please put the word question all in caps. Sometimes we may not see it, but at least it gives us an opportunity to follow that chat at a later date if we don't see it now, and make sure that your questions do get answered. If you have an idea for a topic, please put that there as well. And if you're new, please put the word new all in caps so that we can welcome you to the group as well. All right, we are getting started now. I'm going to turn on the captions. That's not what I wanted to do. Wrong thing. There we go. All right, so we're going to get started. We have a very full agenda today, and I'm sure that there are going to be lots of questions. So normally, if you're with us, you know that we start with quick wins, and we're going to do no more than 10 minutes of quick wins. If you have a quick win, please raise your digital hand so that we can bring you up on screen. Any quick wins from this past week? Now, a quick win in this group means that you even had an interview and it didn't go anywhere. You made a networking connection. Oops. Hello, Carolyn.
Hey, I'm on my final round today. I have my final interview for one of the jobs that I had last week, so I'm hoping it goes well.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Keep us posted.
Will do.
Steven.
Hey, Linda. Hi, everyone. I had a in-person interview yesterday with the CEO, COO, and the VP of sales from a company. So it really should be the final round. And looking for information, hopefully today, from the HR person or the recruiter with feedback. So fingers crossed. Thanks.
Absolutely. Congratulations. So for all of you moving forward in interviews, remember the information you've learned from previous interviews, make sure that you're using that because they've told you what their hot buttons are. They told you what they want to hear in those final rounds. So build on all of that information and move forward. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Again, keep us posted. Anyone else? All right. We have a couple of people who say that they're new. Since we have another couple of minutes, I'm going to let three people, the first three people who raise their digital hand, who are new to the group, give you a minute to introduce yourselves. You got it. Welcome. Hi, Michael.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I'm new to this group. I can't remember how I got connected into this group. I'm in several networking groups, and I try to connect with 2 people a day. So I get confused on, okay, how did I show up here? So no, and I'm from Massachusetts. Unfortunately, I was laid off in December and I'm still looking. I thought I had the best final interview this past Monday, and then I found out yesterday, no, she's looking for a unicorn. And it's like, you're not going to find a unicorn. So I focus on day to day, and
Right.
not the future, and whatever I can do today it's all I can do.
Exactly. So, quick tip. Yes, a lot of people are looking for unicorns. Make sure you send a thank you now that you've been turned down. You want to stay top of mind. Tell them that you really enjoyed it. Pick one thing from the conversation, one thing that you can do. Say you're going to keep in touch for future opportunities, and then do both with them as well as on LinkedIn.
Yep, I do that.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks for sharing. Okay. Kumar, would you like to introduce yourself? If you want to turn your camera on.
Yes, thanks for this opportunity. My name is Kumar Murugesan. I am based out of New Jersey. I got laid off back in December. I'm still searching for a job. My role is more towards project management and program management in the IT industry. I am talking to the recruiters. Still that's going on. So I am actually looking for a job. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. And okay. Sahar, can you turn your camera on? Oh, excuse me, not Sahar. Susan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
Let me
okay.
turn on my. Hello.
There you go.
My name is Susan, and I am transitioning into property management. I have been a landlord for a while now, so I've been managing my own property. I recently received my real estate license and California certification for residential property manager. And I am looking for an entry-level position in leasing or office work in a single family or multifamily. And my background was originally in operations, IT support. I have some also project coordination background too as well.
Very good. Thank you. Good luck. Okay.
Thank you.
Replace. There we go. Real quick, because we'd like to get started, Paula.
Sure, thanks. I'm new as well, and it's funny because I've met Kumar like in 3 networking events differently from different platforms, different things, and I think that's very important for everyone. All my information, I've already put in there. I have a background in sales, and I'm looking basically for the same thing with focusing on data analysis, and I'm in New Jersey. Nice meeting you all.
Thank you. Joyce, next time, I'm sorry, we'd like to get on to the meeting. You can introduce yourself in the chat. Okay, because we'd like to get going. And I apologize. If we have time at the end, Joyce, we can let you introduce yourself. But I wanted to introduce myself because I realized I had forgotten to do that. I'm Linda Brubaker, and this is Career Search Lunch and Learn. And we are, as I mentioned, a networking support group. We're here to help you, just get you moving forward in your search. Our goal is to give you advice, tips, tricks, and any kind of support that we can to help you move on to that next forever career or that next forever job. A little bit about me. I do this because this is my way of giving back. I think it's really important to be able to provide that support to people in career transition. I come to this role knowing that I was laid off 4 times in my career, and that support from other people was one of the things that was important moving forward. I've been doing these Lunch and Learn programs now for the past 8 years, and during that time frame, 918 of the people that I've worked with, either individually or through these groups, have gotten offers. My background is in HR. I've been an HR business partner. I've been an HR internal recruiter. I've been a headhunter or external recruiter, and I've been a hiring manager. And I've been a dedicated career transitions coach now for the last 8 years. The information that I provide is based on not just my experience inside recruiting areas and as hiring managers and in HR roles, but also all the research that I do, all the connections that I've made and that I continue to make, reaching out to people so that the information that we provide you is up to date. Our goal, as I said, is to help you move from here to your next role. Now, I support what I do here. Here's my only, is that I also do individual career transitions coaching. I'm going to put my information into the chat. If any of you would like to work with me, I would love that opportunity. I know I'm working with several of you already here. And that's the way that sometimes we need that added support, and I'm here to help provide it. What I want to do now is introduce you to Kenneth Lang. Okay. Ken is one of those people that I met in a networking group. We've only met in person, although I'm hoping to be able to change that soon. But the idea is that we've been able to not only develop these networking relationships, but friendships based on what we're doing here. Ken, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and then take the program away.
Sure. Great. Not great to be here for you. Well, great to be here, but I feel bad. I want to let you know that I'm supporting all of you here too. It's interesting that you brought up the idea of things being timely and current because I work at Lee Harrison as a branding specialist, and I work with people who have just lost their jobs. And one of the things I'm doing right now is working with Lee Harrison on updating the LinkedIn best practices because a lot of the best practices that are there are very outdated and haven't been looked at in a while. And it's not so much their fault, it's just the fact that they only know what they know. It's not unlike when you go into college and you see a textbook or something, it's based on old information. So what I'm going to be doing today is just going to do some quick best practices based on what's come up most recently. I like to use some of the opportunity to actually go to LinkedIn to answer some questions because slides are very, I don't want to say boring, but it's not the same thing as doing something in person. So that's what I do. I also have on the side, besides that, I'm also built up a networking database where we do searchable events and job seekers can look for things in groups. That's been a passion project of mine because when I got started, I couldn't find networking groups. I had no idea where they are except for just reaching out to people and to find out what they have. So if it's okay with you, Linda, I'm just going to go to the presentation. It's really cut down from what I've done many times before because I think it's no, even up to yesterday, I cut it down from about 45 slides to 30 slides because it's just too much information, and I don't want. One of the complaints I get is it's just not, it's just too much to take in. So I'm going to just go to LinkedIn, to my LinkedIn presentation now.
Perfect.
And what I want to do is just make sure that everyone understands. You can ask questions now. Absolutely can ask questions now as long as you monitor the chat, Linda. We can go later on. This is best practices, not just from my perspective, from what job seekers have been telling me. One of the things I do with Lee Harrison is I have branding session with job seekers, and they tell me the frustrations that they have. And that helps me understand how I can support them. So I'm going to go through the slides and ask away. First of all, these are the questions I get all the time. Basic or premium, does having one affect search results? Does it make a difference? Do I put open to work on or off? Why isn't anyone finding me? Why should I post when no one engages? And how do I get started on LinkedIn? These are the questions I get again and again and again. And that's honestly one of the things I'm doing at Lee Harrison is coming up with the best practices to answer these questions. All of us as brand specialists, we've been sharing what we're getting from different clients. And we call them clients. I mean, they're job seekers. The important thing is to understand that when you do these different things here, you know what the answers are. So these are my answers to these questions. And I came up with other questions later on. It does not make a difference from a search perspective if you're basic or premium. It really, really doesn't. That was an old wives' tale, if you will, from a while ago. It does make a difference if you have a profile which is filled out and which goes by keywords and things, but it doesn't matter basic or premium. Now, open to work, and I'd be curious to get your perspective too, Linda, on or off. I've said keep it on. I'm now thinking about keeping it off from time to time because there's so many spammers out there that can actually tell when you're open to work. And what I've actually suggested people do is don't use the open to work banner per se, but create your own banner. Go to Canva, go to PowerPoint, create your own banner. You can make it an open to work banner or something else to market yourself because that's what it's all about. If you LinkedIn won't be able to tell if you have their open to work on or not, and you'll probably get rid of some of the spammers that way because spammers just are going by what they see on the actual banner that LinkedIn has behind the scenes. So I've had people marking themselves when that blur behind, it's been color, it's been different things. I'm a big believer in having something behind it, but not using the default. It's not unlike when LinkedIn had, you could create that job, that ability to kind of break out the jobs, in between transition. And that was a horrible thing to do. Why isn't anyone finding me? All it takes is one person.
And,
Go ahead,
I'm sorry.
Linda. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so I wanted to give you my perspective on the LinkedIn
Sure,
banner.
sure.
Okay, so I really like the LinkedIn banner, and whether you're doing your own or you're doing the LinkedIn version, it's fine. I say put it up, take it down at least once a month on a weekend, and then put it back up again. Okay, it can be done just for 20 minutes, but I would say probably take it down for a day and then put it back up. But do your own post. The reason that I like the LinkedIn banner is that it automatically sends your post out to everybody in your network, not just selected people. And that's one of the things that we found that really helps make a difference in terms of increasing that visibility. But when you're doing it, you don't have to use the standard LinkedIn post. Write your own. And one of the things that is absolutely important is take off the hashtag that says open to work.
Yeah.
The way that spammers find you right now is because of that hashtag open to work. It's not the LinkedIn banner. Right now, from my understanding, is that people can't search for the banner. They can search for the hashtag. And even though the hashtag is in that little banner around your face, that little headline, that's not a searchable term yet in LinkedIn because it's a graphic. Now that can change, but at the moment, that's what it is. The reason that I like the banner, the green banner, is it not only does it send it out to everybody, but when people are looking at your profile, that banner itself, that LinkedIn open to work around your face, immediately shows up when you're looking at people. And that's another thing that recruiters were finding networkers like, because it says you're open to conversations. So 6 of one, half dozen of another.
Right.
I like it. I know that there are a lot of spammers out there, but if you take off the open to work hashtag, that seems to cut down on the amount of spam.
No, I agree. And that's the thing. And we talk about this amongst ourselves. You ask 5 of us, you're going to get 10 different answers at times because everyone's situation is different.
Absolutely.
So this fourth thing is something which I really emphasize. The mindset for a lot of people on LinkedIn is no one is engaging on a post. No one is liking it, knowing it, no one is commenting it. But that doesn't mean they're not seeing the post. That doesn't mean that you're not part of the discussion. And so I think when you can't really determine what the numbers are, you never know who's going to see your post. So you want to also be able to let people know about yourself. And I think there's all different ways to do it. But the hardest thing about it is most people don't even know what to do to start. And there's all different ways to do it. We'll talk about some of them later on, but if you don't do it, and it's a little thing, I've said to so many people, and I've looked at their profiles, I'll say, how do I know you're looking for a job? It doesn't say that anywhere in the about section, or if you have a placeholder that is there to say that you're working, and I don't see that, that's not helpful to me. Or maybe you've ended the job and you're retiring. I mean, I don't want to have to guess. And I think these are things most people don't realize. So these are the ones I get now. How do I open a support ticket? I mean, I'm going to share this information later. And Linda, just to let you know, afterwards, I'm going to send you a link to where some of these things are. I get this a lot too, because a lot of people on LinkedIn now had profiles from before. They forgot about them. I've had people have 2 or 3 profiles. So you have to either merge or delete them, but you have to be careful because when you delete a profile, you're deleting everything on it. And the other challenge that I have is people have used their LinkedIn profiles with their work email address and they can't get to them anymore. So you want to have a secondary email address when you do that. Again, these are things that I see again and again at Lee Act Harrison from people that are in the field. So you want to have multiple email addresses. People ask me the differences between the LinkedIn levels and the pros and cons of each. I get the algorithm question all the time. I'm not a big proponent of even trying to figure it out. The different types of engagement and even AI. And I actually put something in today, which might be a very helpful thing because I do this all the time as demos. A lot of the things I do here is to demo people. This is just a reminder about the headlines. If you're not sure about what to do, I recommend you do a search for jobs, find out the information there in terms of core competencies and add some of them. And this is an example of my banner. This I did on Canva. It's an easy thing to do. It tells you who I am. I recommend, and I've started to say this to you, you got to make sure your banner renders on mobile. If the text is too small, it's not going to make a difference. Or if it moves and your picture is blocking it, same thing. You know, these are the little things most people don't think about. So when you need help and advice, I recommend, and this is kind of really out of the quasi Lee Act Harrison group branding stuff I do. I say, check out other similar profiles to yours, searching for people based on keywords, search for jobs to see what job specs are there, and that will help you incorporate them into a resume or a LinkedIn profile. And ChatGPT and AI are your friends, embrace them, but don't use them and abuse them. They are not your resume. I have actually had people at Lee Act Harrison send me a resume and say, this was done with ChatGPT. What do you think? Well, no, no. But this is an example of how you can use ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT, I put an actual prompt in. I said, I want to effectively portray myself as a corporate resume writer. What do I need to do? And I asked for ChatGPT to give me the framework, just the starting point. And you can do this if it's your job title or something else. Okay, that's a good starting point. So then I said, I want more information. So this was one version they had. And it was very dry, was very okay. It's great. I mean, it's resume-ish, and that's okay. But it said at the bottom, let me know your tone preference. It said, let me know what you're looking to do. So I said, I want something more conversational. And it took that there and it made it even better. Because the more information I gave it, the better. And again, I'm looking at this here, and anyone can do the same sort of thing. I've had people, I've asked someone, I've said, someone said to me, how do I reach out to someone at a company I want to work at? So we'll type it in ChatGPT together. And then they'll say, well, what do you don't like the response? We're going to ask something else. So, and it doesn't have to be ChatGPT, it could be anything like that, but I'm asking it to give me help. And it's a very helpful tool. And I did this from my perspective as to what I do, but you could do this from anything. You can ask it anything, and it's very helpful. You can have it create an invitation connection request. Same thing. So I thought, Linda, this might be something helpful for you to share with the group today, because it's something which is very beneficial. And again, this is stuff I do with Lee Act Harrison, and it's a great thing that I think if you ever do this again, I highly recommend you do something like that.
Absolutely.
So these are the changes in the works. And some of these I found out, I was at LinkedIn headquarters 2-3 weeks ago. And some of these were kind of gleaned by them. And also the latest on the algorithm is, as best as I can tell, it's much more important to engage than it is to post. Because they've had so many people posting and they're trying to do the whole promotion posting. And so it's much better to engage within comments. But even more than that, go to new people, not the same old people. If you find someone who you haven't connected with, whether it's a second or third connection, that's going to help your standing. I mean, I do a lot of people in my first connections, but I reach out to other people too. There's also no one best day or time to post. Don't even try to guess. I have a post going now. It's been up for 4 or 5 days. I'm getting comments all the time. You just never know. This third thing really bothers me a lot. You're going to need to have a premium account to add an image. And if you have a basic account, you really have to try and make sure you get one up. Once you have an image, you can change it. That's not the issue. The issue is they're going to take it away. So if you
I'm sorry, an image where?
behind your picture,
Thank you. So you're talking about the banner?
the banner behind your
banner.
picture, there's that banner. It's going to go away. If it hasn't, it's gone away for some people already, but once it's there, you can change it. What they're going to do is they're going to say, if you want a banner, you're going to have to join premium for 30 days, whatever it is, and then remember to take it away. This is part of LinkedIn's strategy now because they're talking about additional paid options, which is the last thing. They're adding additional options underneath it for job seekers and other premiums, which they're testing. And basically, they're testing it by taking some of the basic functionality away to see what they can charge, sadly. So again, that's just what's going on. And to what you said, Linda, taking the open to work, well, I say turn it off for a week or so, same sort of thing, same idea. It's almost like when you go to Dice and apply for a job, put a new resume up every week, change your character. It doesn't make a difference. I also recommend people put their email address in their about section for sure. I recommend they put the LinkedIn URL on their email signature, which most people don't do. I would, again, rename the link. Every opportunity you have to do that makes sense. And I also believe you look at other people's profiles to get an idea of what to include. Now, All-Star status is back. I don't know if everyone here knows what All-Star status is. You have to have certain components of your profile filled out. That will impact your searchability. It's not a basic or premium thing, which means you have to have a headshot, you have to have a picture, you have to have an about section completed, you have to have jobs listed, you have to have at least 2 to 3 recommendations. They don't have the all-star status banner now, but it is back, and that does affect your searchability. And again, I'm going to follow up with this with some very specific what these things mean. I just wanted to go through as much as possible, but there are the basic standards. And if you don't include them, then that will affect your searchability. That's the latest change to the algorithm. That's one change. So that's something you should definitely, because I see a lot of people there that don't have any information about jobs. They just have a name or something. So again, that's just something to think about. And this is how they're using AI. And this is the push to premium now. This is what is going on here now. When I used to search for jobs, or I would not see this list here. Now they have the ability, they're showing you here with an AI aspect, they're going to give you the ability, is this a good fit for me? Tailor my resume to this job, or how can I best position myself? And you ask that question, and then it comes up with a whole bunch of things. Now, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that at all. So one of the things I just said is, if you look at the top here, it says AI-powered searches in beta, which is what it's testing to everyone else. If you, on the next slide, if you turn it and you go switch back to classic job search, then everything goes back. But again, if you don't know how to do these things, and this may be rolling out to basic too, then you're going to be stuck in a rut. So it's another important thing to think about. Now, the ways to contact LinkedIn, again, I'll go into more detail. You have to go to X with screenshots. You can open a ticket or ask one of us. Bobby Umar, for example, was locked out of LinkedIn over the weekend, and for 3 days, and he didn't know. And it turns out the reason was, we think it was because his virtual assistant was using his profile, but again, we don't know that for sure. Best ways to use the platform: engage, create content. Now, I avoid hashtags and over tagging. There are people there that do 40 and 50 hashtags. First of all, the more people, again, and there's different posting, there's the hashtags, and there's also the people that tag like crazy. I am on posts with 40 people. I remove my tag because I don't want to get notified by every little thing.
Right.
You want to be targeted that way, because the more people that don't respond to one of your tags, the more it pushes you down. Now, what I want to do now is use the platform as a job search tool and to improve resumes. This is also what I do on Leact Harrison too. And this is the exercise I'll do for them. I'll say, pick a job title. We'll type it at the top, project manager. These are all different variables here. So I'm going to say, let's do a search for jobs. Okay. Then we go to jobs. Then I'm going to say, what's the date posted? Or the experience level. So this person's a mid-senior because it's 48,000. I want to lower it down. Then I want to filter it now maybe by industry. Now I may want to go on top of that to the past 24 hours. And these are all different things you can do. So now I've got a limited number within the space here. You can reduce the search that way. You can do a Boolean search with multiple jobs. Now, the reason you care about the most recent ones is those are the ones most likely that are still available. A job may have been out there 30 days or 14 days. And the one thing which I like, and this was a trick someone shared with me. This is the actual HTML code in here when you do this for 24 hours. There's a number here, which is a TPR number. And I used to be a developer. That 86,400 stands for 1 day, the number of seconds in a day. So 24 hours is that. So if I want to switch this, because this is a search within 24 hours, if I want to switch this to 3,600, this TPR up here, I can get for the last hour. So if I change it from 86,400, now I get jobs just in the last hour. Again, this is like a geeky sort of thing for me, but it's a really cool thing to do. And again, if I'm going to go on a job board, I want to focus. And what I actually have is I have some of these saved as quick links, but it's a good tool because again, you look at something like this just helps me. So the other thing I wanted to say is your goal is to confirm you have the qualifications for a job and leverage your resume. I also do searches for people within a company. People ask me target companies, and if you have a target company, let's do a search for the company. Let's search for current employees in the company. Let's go by industry in the company, like human resources. And then if they have that square LinkedIn thing, you can send them a message directly. What I don't support at all is the I'm interested within the company. You select I'm interested because it basically is not a helpful tool. I mean, that they kind of didn't want to come out and say that too much at LinkedIn headquarters, but it doesn't really help. It's really for their algorithm and their data analytics. It doesn't really serve any viable purpose. So I would not recommend you do the I'm interested. I
That's a
also,
change. I'm sorry, Ken, because when they first came out with that, one of the things they were saying was that when you do that, it gives the recruiters within the company that notice, and for 6 months, you're going to come up higher in their searches. So you're saying that isn't true?
no. I mean, first of all, given the economy now, you're not really standing out anyway.
No.
And all you're getting is, it's not helpful. I mean, it's not going to hurt, but I would never recommend that. It's almost like when we talk about when LinkedIn had the whole articles and all that stuff. That was going to help and help and help, and it really just served their own purposes for their AI.
Yes.
So I'm very leery about things like that. Even using AI, I believe in using AI, but not on LinkedIn's platform per se. I think it's I mean, one of the things I do, and again, this is a best practice. I get people when I get a resume, they don't have a profile listed on LinkedIn necessarily. So I'm going to try to search for them. I'm going to try to break it down by company, break it down by location. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And the other thing I'll do is just Google them. So if you run out of searching because you're limited, do a search on Google. You would be surprised at how many people come up that way and they're nowhere like their resume. Or their job backgrounds don't match. And it's very frustrating. So that's why you want to really look at your profile and make sure it matches that way. But at the same time, you don't want to make it hard for a recruiter to find you. Like if you're sending a resume out, the only time I say don't put a LinkedIn URL in there is that if your LinkedIn profile needs a lot of work. That's not beneficial.
Mhm.
What we'll do in a case like that is we have on Lehigh Terrace and we do a commented version and a clean version. The commented version is this is where it should go, but don't put it on there. But just to give them an idea from the functionality. And you don't want to be salesy when you get an accepted. I have an out of the office message I get with premium that basically says, thanks for connecting, different messages. I wish, and we actually had this chat at LinkedIn headquarters. What are the things they asked us what we wanted, which was a dangerous question because Kevin Turner was there, I was there, and we said we want better inboxes, better ways to get a hold of people. We also want to have a better focused customer service platform.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they listen to us, but we had the conversation there, and we have contacts now within LinkedIn that we can reach out to, which was probably the most beneficial part of all. Um, Interesting. So again, go ahead. A pod is something you have 30 or 40 people and they all just agree to post each other's content. That's why I say when you look at the numbers, do not worry about the numbers. There are so many people that are paying to have their content posted, and it serves no purpose. Some of my best posts have gotten a few hundred impressions. I don't really know what they mean, but I've got a lot of engagement. Or people just acknowledge and they never read the post. They just heard about it from someone else. Apparently now resharing a post is much more valuable. In some cases, if you reshare a post with your own content,
Does it make a difference?
excuse me,
If you're resharing a post, does it make a difference if you have a comment of your own as you
it
share it?
helps. What Liam Darmody told me, which is a really great thing too, is when you reshare the post, if you will, instead of resharing the actual post, create a post and take a picture of the post. In other words, you have a post. Let's say Brenda Miller did a post. You take a snapshot of the first part of the post and then you create a new post with the comments about the why, as opposed to just having another link. LinkedIn is very clunky in that way, but with even all these things here, the bottom line is this: you can't be afraid to start doing something. I have so many people that are afraid to get started. What I also recommend, and this is the thing which bugs me about Lee Hecht Harrison, because they don't do a lot of mobile stuff, you want to have a QR code. You have to know where to find the QR code on your phone. Some people add it to their email signature, but you want to know how to do that. That's a whole different discussion. I do mobile discussions as well because mobile is a much different mindset in terms of, but if you don't have a QR code available and you save it as a picture, you don't need business cards anymore. Like
Right.
hypothetically, this is mine. So, and I've had, and I'm take a picture, don't take a picture, whatever. But if you're going to be at an event, I actually did this at the start of COVID. I had a bunch of us all putting up our phones to the screen to see if we could connect. I mean, it wasn't a great picture, but it was a really cool thing to do. So I think again, with a lot of this here, these reminders are very basic reminders here. What I wanted to do is go to LinkedIn now for some training. I mean,
Perfect.
if that's okay with you. Did this cover kind of a lot of what you were looking for?
Yes, it is.
Because
Thank you.
I didn't want to be too crazy with stuff, but at the same time, I wanted to try to reach out because a lot of what I want to do, I want to show you guys
Okay.
as possible. So I'm going to just go to LinkedIn now.
We have a couple of questions too, so whenever you're ready,
Oh,
Ken.
I'm ready. I'm just actually just getting on LinkedIn now. I mean, I'm going to go to my feed, which is probably the best way to start. So let's go for the questions.
All right. So Julie has a question. Julie?
Yes. Hi. Thank you so much, both of you, Linda and Ken. My question is, if we're looking for work and we have the green banner, should our headliner also say seeking new opportunities?
No.
So because I had to create something that says I'm to present, so it doesn't, my last job ended. How will they know
Well,
besides the
first of
green
all, let me
banner?
ask you a question.
Yes.
If your job, I don't know how long ago your job ended. Just because you have an end date on your job, it doesn't mean as much as you think to have a present job anymore.
Really?
I thought LinkedIn doesn't pick you up unless you have a
Ah,
current job. I mean,
it,
even
it's more important to have a profile that is searchable. See, if you're gearing this towards recruiters to have a seat at the table, that's a very minimal number of people. Now, I'm not saying if you've been a year out, you shouldn't have something there, but you're better off listing volunteering as a current job than just making up a placeholder job. So I think, yes, the current job can be volunteering, but the current job shouldn't be like a consulting company of your own. Because I see so many people that do that, and I'm saying, well, are you working or not?
You can also use as your current job something like professional development so
Yeah.
that you're upgrading your skills.
Like, I'll give you an example, hypothetical. I'm just going to do this now because, so again, you know Lynn Williams, right?
I do.
yes.
So Lynn Williams has this group here, the Great Careers Network Group. It is a placeholder group for a bunch of job seekers. And people join this group, and this is what their employment is. It's a volunteer thing here. But if I type open to work here, like again, this is the searchability part. I do open to work people. These are people that come up as open, like I'm doing this here, looking for opportunities open to work. This is such a waste.
Mhm.
I mean, I know nothing about this person here. It's a waste of space. I think all this great content is great here, but this is just looking for new opportunities open to work. So what?
Right. What are you open to work in? What are your skills? What titles are you looking for?
See, like this, almost this is almost better, if you will. Open to work, seeking data, that this and this and this. And this is why I'm a big believer in using LinkedIn as a search engine that way, because I just did in real time, I just typed open to work. You had a question. So I just went here and then I selected people just to see what's going on there.
So I just want to be clear on your answer. So
Sure.
you're saying that my current position should be like pro bono, whatever, or volunteer, and then list what I'm doing, but my headline should not say seeking opportunities in.
No, not really. I mean, it's not beneficial because if I were to type seeking opportunities, I'm going to type it here and I'm going to type people. I have lots of people seeking opportunities here. I mean, I've got millions probably. So how are you separating yourself that way?
Well, I'd be saying that I'm corporate counsel.
So, Julie, can I make a suggestion? If you want to include that open to work as part of your headline, don't lead with it.
Right.
Put the job opportunities, and then you can say at the end, open to new opportunities, or looking for new opportunities.
Okay.
But don't lead with it because those first 40 to 50 characters are what's going to come up when I do that search that Ken just did.
And on mobile, the same thing. You have less characters on mobile. I think people have a tendency to overthink what they should and shouldn't do on LinkedIn. This is a starting point. You want to build connections and relationships. LinkedIn is not going to get you a job by itself. So
That's
I mean, again, I've been on this platform for years and years and years. There's so much information that's out there. I'm a big believer in just using the platform in ways that most people don't as much.
okay. Thank you for your time.
Oh, sure.
Okay. We have a question from Jennifer.
Sometimes I'll find a job that I really like, and I just saw one today that was only posted on the last day, but it already says over 100 people clicked apply.
That's not true, first of all. It only means 100 people viewed the job. It's not the same thing. LinkedIn's definition of that is not the correct number.
Correct. So don't get scared off. Don't
What
let
if
that-
it's what if it's a job says easy apply and it's 100 people clicked apply? Is
No.
it valid?
No,
Is that
it is
valid
not.
then?
And by the way, don't do easy apply.
I would never
No,
do
no.
easy apply.
I'm just trying to understand the,
No.
how that works.
It's the same thing as the impressions on LinkedIn. Somebody clicks into it, that counts as an impression. Somebody looks at the job, that counts as an applied
Yeah.
from the LinkedIn standpoint. They're doing that so that they can tell the people who are paying for LinkedIn postings,
That
LinkedIn
people,
job postings, that see, it's really working. You've got all these people who are involved, but it means absolutely nothing in terms of the number of people applying.
Thank you.
Joyce.
Can I make a comment here,
sure.
Linda? So this is Akshat. So what I have seen is when you go to a job, and this is in regards to Jennifer's comment,
Uh-huh.
when you go to a job and you say apply, and then you go to the website to apply, when you come back to LinkedIn, it asks you, did you apply or not? When you say yes, this is what I've seen. They will increment the counter. So let's say if I was seeing it as 90, when I say yes, it would go to 91. But if I say no, it remains at 90. So I I'm also not sure how that over 100 people applied works, but I have a premium profile. So when I look at the stats, it will give me a breakdown saying, let's say 200 people applied in the last few days. This was the number of people applied. This is my observation. I have no understanding of how the algorithm works,
Well,
but
no, none of us know everything. A lot of which is a big part. I know about the fact that when you call up a job, it counts as an apply on that end. That I know.
Yes.
But and so again, and what's ironic for me is when I'm doing my demos and I show people how to do these searches for jobs by job title, I start getting from LinkedIn all these suggested jobs for me based on how I've been doing the searching, which has nothing to do with me personally. I mean,
right.
but I mean, hypothetically, like I would come here and I would say to someone here, is there a company that you're interested in? Is there a job? And we would just go through the searching process and then show people how to do things. And then I will go to ChatGPT at the same time, kind of like I did with you, Linda.
Mm-hmm.
How do I do this? How do I do that? And then use that as a mechanism.
Perfect. Thank you. Joyce has a question.
Sure.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
We
Yep.
can.
Yeah, sorry I didn't have my camera on. I just played golf, so I'm
That's all right.
kind of a wreck right now. But no, I lost my job at AT&T about 3 months ago,
Okay.
and I am actively targeting specific companies. So I would love to work for Verizon. I have friends that have gone there. I feel like,
Uh-huh.
I can resonate with their culture, and I think I would be a great fit. So I've had several interviews. Unfortunately, I had a bad panel on the last one. The hiring manager said you were my number one. Unfortunately, I came back from a 9-day cruise, and then the interview was the next day, and I was completely unprepared. I couldn't even answer any questions. And of course, they want you to use the SOAR model: situation, obstacle, what's the action you took, and what was the result. And so I know I need to focus on that if I were to get another panel, but there's another company that I'm targeting, and I think I'm probably not qualified in terms of what they sell. It's AI focused company, and I have 2 applications out for that company. And when I go and look, it's been in review, and I don't have any contacts. But I did do the search like you suggested on LinkedIn, look at recruiters at ServiceNow. But is that the best way then to reach out to a recruiter and send a message saying, hey, I've applied for a couple of these positions?
Well, you could do it 2 different ways. First of all,
Okay.
if you found a mutual connection at ServiceNow that maybe give you an introduction, that might be helpful.
I don't have any.
But the other thing is to reach out to a recruiter and just let them know you want to learn more about the company without
Okay.
necessarily telling them that you have applied for a job. Or
Okay.
maybe reach out to someone else at the company who's not an HR person. People love to talk about themselves, and it's not salesy that way. I mean,
Okay.
and
Okay.
that way, I mean, Linda's kind of nodding her head. I mean, go ahead.
So I'm going to put on several different hats at the moment. Okay. So from the idea of reaching out to a recruiter and saying, hey, I've applied for a job, please take a look. That's perfect. But my time as a recruiter is so busy, especially these days, that's saying, hey, I just want to have a conversation to find out more about the company, is less likely to get you any kind of a response or even to get them to take a look. However, Ken's idea about reaching out to other people in the company, trying to ask questions, doing that kind of informational networking, even if they're not willing to send your resume down the hall, gives you that additional leg up as you're making those conversations. And engage with people from that company on LinkedIn. People are taking notice of that.
The other question I have is, if you're applying for multiple roles within a company, is it perceived in a negative light in terms of like, okay, I applied for this job and then I applied for that job all within the same company, and it's like your recurring theme, applying
I'll
for
let
multiple.
Linda answer that because I
Okay.
know my opinion is, but I'd love
Yeah,
to.
I would love both your opinions, please.
Okay. So I'm going to put on my hiring manager's hat, okay, and the recruiter's perspective as well. If the jobs are all very similar, that's fine. If you're applying for a sales job and then you're applying for a data analyst job and then you're applying for something else, it's like you don't really know what you want to do. You just want a job and it's a spray and pray approach. So that will work against you.
Okay.
But very targeted jobs that are all very similar,
Yep.
okay, that's fine.
And they may be in different parts of the company.
Absolutely.
And then that's the thing. So it's not going, they may be going to different hiring managers. The thing you want to be wary of is if you're working with a recruiter, that they don't submit you for the same job.
Oh, not only that, Ken, you want to be careful that if they have the same overall umbrella, if the same recruiter is submitting you for several jobs, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But two recruiters submitting you into the same company, even for different jobs within a 6-month period, is almost an automatic no, because from a company's standpoint, they don't know who submitted you first and who they want to have to pay, and they're concerned that both recruiters are going to claim you and will want that fee.
Right.
Yeah, but what I'm finding is with large companies like that, they have specific recruiters that are assigned for specific job titles and territories.
Oh,
So,
no, I meant outside recruiter.
oh, okay, yeah, no, I'm not. These are internal recruiters to
Internal's
the company.
not the same thing. I'm talking about outside.
Yeah, even with ServiceNow, these are internal recruiters for that company.
Yep.
Okay. So what I found, and I don't know if it's
you can also do a post on LinkedIn, say, I'm looking, I would appreciate any help. I'm looking to learn more about ServiceNow. Ask the millions of people on LinkedIn for help.
Absolutely. And look at your second level connections and see who you might be able to get an introduction to. It's possible that somebody doesn't really know that first level connection to begin with. Okay, if I'm connected to somebody, I may have connected without really having a conversation with the person, but I can still do an e-introduction. Okay.
Yeah.
And introduce you to that person on LinkedIn and see whether or not that person is willing to have a conversation.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is helpful for anyone else on the call that's searching, but I had an interview with Verizon. It was for a private wireless network position. It was very specialized. And I went through 5 interviews. I even had to do a role play. It was the final interview. So, I had the first interview with the hiring manager, then the hiring manager and a lead solution architect director, and then another call with the vice president, Dan Roman, and then a role play where I had to mimic, I was meeting with the, CIO of a manufacturing company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty intense, and it was a 2-month process. And I really could envision myself in the role. I was like so excited, ready to hit the ground. I really felt like I had a connection with the hiring manager. And it turns out they ended up hiring someone else because they had more technical experience. And I found out that it was actually my old boss when I worked in that group. So I still, even though I didn't get it, I still felt like, okay, I was right there. So what I did is I reached out to the hiring person because he said, Joyce, I just want to say, your sales skills were impressive. Like he wanted, I was right there. So I said, okay, well, I found this other job, same title, but it's in wireless. And I said, would you be willing to put in a word for me to the hiring person? So he did. So that was the interview where I had where the guy wanted me. It was a great first interview. And then I lost momentum and I failed the panel, and there was no way to recover because the three panelists, the one panelist, I mean, she was the right hand of the VP, and I just completely bombed it, you guys. I'm telling you, it was the worst interview of all time. There was no way to recover, no way whatsoever. So then the guy for that job, he's like, Joyce, I'm new to hiring at Verizon, but then he said, hey, I don't think the water is as muddied as you thought. He said, we had a benchmarking session with our leaders and your name came up and you were put on the board. So then there was another job, senior client partner. And so this person said, oh, I'm good friends with the hiring person for that. Put in a good word to her. I drove to Wisconsin last Monday, met with her in person. It was the worst interview ever. There was no connection. She was 20 minutes late. It was really abrupt. She ended at 15 minutes short. She asked me what I was wearing. I wasn't even wearing perfume. And then she gave me a hug. It was the whole thing was so awkward. And I'm just having the worst luck. I don't know what to do from here. So I don't know. I should have had that last job and then I blew it. So, oh well. I'm so
Those
mad
things
at
happen.
myself. I'm so mad at myself. You have no idea.
But you don't know that you blew it. It just could have been the circumstances.
Oh,
So
I blew it.
they found other things, but
Did you ever
Anyway.
did you ever thank them for the opportunity to interview with them?
Oh my gosh, yes. I wrote individual emails. I followed up. I mean, I
did you
couldn't
follow up
recover.
after that last one as well?
Oh, yes, definitely. I followed
And
up.
after the turn down?
Pardon me?
After the turn down, always follow up.
Oh, I do. Always, every time. I keep the door open,
Right.
what could
And
have
it's
done
not,
better?
what did I do wrong? It's,
Yes.
gee, I was really excited about the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity to do this. I'm going to keep in touch for future opportunities. What kind of things can you suggest that I might do to better prepare myself?
Yeah.
But don't get hung up on this bad experience there, because
No.
we've
Oh
all
my
been there, including me. Believe me. In fact, I've had some horror interview stories, which I still, it's just,
Oh, it was awful.
Yep.
So anyway, I'm not giving up. I really want to work there. That's where I want to work.
So Joyce, there are a couple of people in the chat who've given you some ideas of said that they have some contacts.
and don't
Okay.
forget to save the chat also.
Yes.
Okay.
I was gonna- So we are at the top of the hour, Ken. We have taken up a lot of your time, and I really appreciate this. What this tells me is we need to do this again.
Okay. And I'm happy to do it. And like I said, I'm going to send not just the deck, but I'm going to send you the links there, because one of the things we have all found is that people ask questions. We have to have it handy. Even the idea of opening a support ticket, you can't find it. They do it intentionally, I think, at times.
I think you're right.
And you brought up a good point earlier about, having a work email address with your LinkedIn. I'm telling you, that was almost impossible to get my new email updated with my information. And it was very difficult.
You
Opening
want to have
trouble
at least 2 email addresses with your profile, a Gmail or something like that, because you never know.
Exactly. And make sure that when you're putting your email address in your LinkedIn profile, in your about section, that it is your private one, not your company one.
Oh, I've had that happen so many times at resumes. People leave on their work email, or in some cases, it's an alumni email address.
Yep.
I mean, I understand why you're doing it, but not from a job search perspective.
Absolutely not.
But
okay. All right.
Right.
So we have lots more questions. Ken, I don't want to take any more of your time if you don't have it to give.
I have time because I don't have to be on a Leah Harrison thing for an hour. But I mean,
I don't want to. No, we don't want to keep going.
Okay, okay.
No, I was going to say I don't want to impose. But
Okay.
if you're willing to take another couple of questions, there are other people who got hands up.
Absolutely.
All right. So I'm trying to get to somebody who hasn't raised yet. Let's see, Aaron. Okay.
I'm sorry,
There you go.
you say Aaron?
I did.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. I just have a quick question to go back to your LinkedIn discussion. is LinkedIn Premium paying the, I don't know, whatever it is. I think it's $40 now, or maybe it's 45. Is it worth it? Is it honestly really worth having LinkedIn Premium?
I'm going to say the same thing I say to someone else, not until you figured out everything with basic. And that may take you a very long time. So the short answer is no.
Okay.
The benefits, I mean, yes, there's LinkedIn Learning and there are things you can do, but my gut feeling is most of the people on the call, there's a lot of basic stuff out there.
I will tell you that I've been on LinkedIn now for 18 years and never had a premium account, even when I was recruiting full time.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Okay. Paula, you had a question.
Yes, thank you. I've seen, I came up with some recruiters on LinkedIn, and I see like a couple of jobs posted on their LinkedIn page. However, when I go to their website, the job is not posted there. And the only option is it easy to apply. So is that legit? Is it something that, because everything seems to be okay, but then the job is not on their website. So what
Well,
should I do? Just say like, thanks, no, thanks.
well, I mean, I'm not a big proponent of applying to anything online first. I would rather reach out to the recruiter. First of all, websites that post jobs, and I know this from working with people, they don't always take the jobs down or they don't always update the websites for whatever reason.
Mhm.
So a job, and some jobs that are there are just placeholder jobs anyway. That's a whole different discussion. You know, they're kind of fishing for resumes. If you're interested in working for a company, reach out to the person on LinkedIn, reach out to someone else at the company. But you know, the job search is so screwed up now. I'll just say it. And the best way to get around
Absolutely.
is not to apply online when you don't have to, not as a first step.
Okay. And I'm going to
Okay.
do a different perspective.
Sure.
Okay. And that is, yes, if you can find that contact and you have that other way of getting in as a first step, do it. Applying online isn't going to hurt you. In fact, in many cases, you're going to have to do that anyway, whether you do that as a first step or a second step, you still have to be in their system. If I'm putting on that internal hat, that hiring manager, that HR business partner, recruiter hat, you have to be in my system for me to take a look at you beyond the initial review. It will never hurt you to apply online, okay, at the company's website.
Mhm.
The only time that it might, okay, and here's my caveat, if they have an internal referral program, in other words, a bonus program. So if David refers me in and I get hired, he gets $100 bonus. If I've applied first without that referral okay from him, he doesn't get that bonus. Okay, that's the only time that it might potentially hurt. But otherwise, it really doesn't. Now, having that networking connection, making those inroads, helps you to get seen, helps you to get visibility, helps somebody want to talk with you, and it gives you that added information. So if you can find that networking connection within the first 2 to 3 days that the job is posted, great. If it goes beyond those 2 to 3 days, I would say go ahead and apply and then continue to do the networking in, but apply at that point.
But not on LinkedIn, like go to the website. And if it's not on the website, I just don't apply.
So if a company has a careers page and that job is not listed on the page, there are only 2 reasons that the job is no longer listed on a company page if they're listing jobs. One is it's a confidential search, in which case the company's not going to identify themselves on LinkedIn as having that position to begin with. Or the job is already in active recruiting and interviewing and they've taken it down because they don't want any more.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Now, if you're talking about an outside recruiting firm who's listing positions, then
Yes.
that's
Yeah, like the outside recruiter is just posting those job offers on LinkedIn.
right.
Yeah.
So I'll bet you're off. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can you need to tell me how long you're willing to do this? Because I'm
I
going
mean,
to
I
keep going.
can go another 5, 10 minutes.
Perfect. Okay. I see a couple of other hands raised, but I want to see what I can get to some of these in the chat first. Okay. If you have the chat, okay, question. I've been answering some of them as we go. If you have a question in the chat that we haven't talked about yet, or you haven't raised your hand, talked about the work and the headline. Okay, well, I'm looking for some more. Susan, do you have a question? You need to unmute, Susan.
Yes, I do. I'm sorry. Well, there's two parts. So I updated my LinkedIn profile and I have some current positions, but I don't have a recommendation. I have old recommendations for past jobs. Does that hurt me in
Well,
the ranking or?
well, forget the ranking for a second. You probably want to get more recent recommendations anyway.
Okay.
If you have them on your profile, 2 or 3 or whatever it is, that's what LinkedIn cares about. They don't care about when they were done, but
Right.
it's beneficial. If you've just lost your job, reach out to a former coworker or former boss
Yeah,
and have them
I've been
write the
trying to. It's a slow process. Some people don't look at their LinkedIn. I'm trying to get a hold of them in a different way. And then the second part of the question is I just wanted to verify. So I applied for a job that was on LinkedIn and I did the easy apply. It took me back over to the actual corporate website and they have it separate. Is that okay? Or so I'm not understanding. Are you telling us not to do the easy apply from LinkedIn and just go directly to their website?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I
Okay.
mean, there's
That's
no benefit to using Easy Apply except for LinkedIn.
Right. So here's the other trick is that as a recruiter, when you apply directly on my website, depending upon how I've set up my notifications, I will get a notification that X number of people have applied directly on my site. Go take a look. When you're going through another site and it's coming in, that may take another week to 10 days before it gets to me.
okay. Gotcha.
Don't do that.
See, the unknown is when you apply Easy Apply, it goes into a different bucket, I'm sure, than if you apply directly on the corporate site. And then
It
depending
does.
on who's viewing it, and then if they see that you've applied as an Easy Apply and as applied on the corporate side, again, it's just becomes that's the not control part about this. And that's why it's really you
Okay.
don't there's just too many people out there doing the same thing basically.
And then that one did not have a recruiter attached to it. It was
Many of them don't.
they don't.
Yeah, they don't, but that's why you want to look them up on LinkedIn or look up someone else. I mean, they're
Okay.
on everyone's on LinkedIn for the same reason, build relationships, get jobs filled and all that. But you have to be the one you have to be the hunter, not the hunted.
Right. And by the way, if you've got target companies, start
Yes.
building those relationships now, even before you find the job opportunity. You wait until the job opportunity is there, you may be too late.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you both. I appreciate it.
Sure. David had a question. David Pryor.
Yes, you said that you should avoid being salesy when making connection requests. Could you give me a little more detail on that?
Well, I'm going to say this. If you're applying for a job and you are reaching out to the hiring manager directly, I wouldn't give all the great things about me by itself. I wouldn't try to oversell, because it's kind of assumed when you're applying to a recruiter, that's why you're applying to them. You're not, that's understood. I get a lot of people that reach out, are trying to push their services, whether it's resume writing or something like that. You want to build a relationship and start a conversation. It may take 1 or 2 times to get there. And if people don't hear back from you, they don't hear back from you. Nothing lost. The problem now is that with LinkedIn limiting the number of connection requests a basic person can have, which is the 5, then you really have to sit down and focus on what makes sense. That's why if you can go to people that have that open messaging available, that's better. Or if you can post engage that way. this is all a trial and error thing to some extent. But you're selling yourself, but you don't want to oversell yourself because you want to think like, and I ask you, David, what differentiates you from everyone else that's out there?
I think I notice details no one else does and think about things that a lot of other people don't think about.
But that's what a lot of people could say that. And I'm not saying it to be flip. I mean, it's just, what does that mean?
Well, it means I might find ways to enhance the sales of something or increase the performance that nobody else has thought of.
Okay, so Linda, I'm going to ask you, what do you think about something like that?
I think it's much too vague, David. Okay. You need to be able to quantify for me what it is you do. So give me an example instead. So the vague doesn't help. So show me
I've
how.
worked on a marketing campaign, increase the attendance of an event by 150%. Is that what you're looking for?
Yes,
Exactly what I'm-
absolutely.
That's it. Remember,
Why would I want to hire? I mean, I'm devil's advocate. Why would I want to hire you? I want to know what you can do for me.
I
And
want to
that's a
know the value
quantifiable
proposition. Exact, right. So Marianne put it in the chat. I did a presentation yesterday for another group about what's in it for me and how to change that mindset. You need to be the person who's easily seen as solving my problems, which means you need to do that research, which means you need to do those informational interviews to find out what the company's hot buttons are. You need to do your research on the company, use ChatGPT or another form to figure out what's going on with the company and try and find out what those challenges might be. Then show how you can solve those problems. You're doing all of these connections. You're doing all of this application, these requests. And you're trying to reach out to what I call the dummy on the other side of the desk or the screen. I don't know you from Adam, okay, or from David. So I need to know why I should talk with you and why you're the person who can do what it is I need you to do. So the more you can tell me that, the more you can focus in on those accomplishments. That last statement, David, was great.
Or
The
if you
first,
tell me, David, hypothetically, that I have a connection at a company and we've had a conversation, I'd be happy to set up a conversation as long as, I know a little bit about what you want to do and if it's beneficial. That's where building relationships are.
exactly. And at the end of every networking conversation, who else would you suggest that I talk with? Can you give me another name or two? Okay.
All right,
So
Linda,
absolutely.
I have to jump now, Linda.
But we appreciate it.
But I mean, I'm happy to come back again. I'll share all the information I have. I'm gonna, send it to you, and then however you want to send it out, I'll leave that up to you. Okay?
Perfect. I'm going to add it to our private group. So if you haven't joined our private group, please make sure that you do that. I'm adding the link again.
Maybe I'll just put all this information in the private group then. That might be
Perfect.
better.
You're part of that group. That would be wonderful.
Sure.
And I'm going to add the chat. Remember I'm going to turn off the recording. Okay. And I want to remind you all to make sure that you are copying the chat.
Mhm.
Okay.